Hello viewers and welcome back. You're watching Dukascopy TV with me, Natalie MacDonald. Up next, I'm joined once again in the studio by Tammy Rosso of Webster University. Tammy, thank you so much for coming back in and joining us.
Well, thank you for having me, Natalie.
Okay, now we're going to be looking at several different organisations and how they use the media and how they're achieving their aims and goals and also how they're perhaps not. So let's start today with the World Bank. Now, the World Bank's official goal is to reduce poverty, and it's through means such as the promotion of foreign investment, international trade, the facilitation of capital investment. How successful do you think the World Bank has been in achieving its aims, and what challenges really does it still have?
If you look at the statistics, since 1980, poverty has been reduced about 1 percentage point on average per year. So their goal is to have a maximum of no more than 3% extreme poverty globally by 2030. So if you look at the statistics, it almost looks like it's achievable. But in reducing poverty through finance, they're also creating inequality, so that the gap between the poor and the wealthy is actually increasing. And if you look at the World Bank Group's 2013 report, okay, so one goal is this reduction of poverty, and the other is promoting shared prosperity. And to do that, the World Bank promotes what they call a social contract. And the social contract requires that people become other interested, and they put others' interests first, okay? That goal, through the means of finance and economics, seemed to me to be just contrary to each other, right? One seems very humanitarian. The other is not, for me. So are they achieving their goals?
So that's the World Bank taken care of. Right, up next on our list that we have today, we've got the IMF. Now, the IMF is an organisation, 188 countries, and this aims to promote international economic cooperation, international trade, employment, exchange rate stability. We see a lot of the IMF in the media. How does it use the media in order to achieve its aims? And again, what challenges does this organisation still have?
Okay. I'm going to be referring to the World Bank and the IMF sort of together in terms of the media coverage, okay? Let's just look at what's been coming out recently. Okay, there are a few quotes I want to give you here. The USA Today said that the IMF, the members of the IMF, are like the inhabitants of Congress, like Emperor Nero in ancient Rome, are still fiddling merrily away, impervious to the world outside, right? So there are demands almost, from the G20 that they would like the IMF to give up some of its power, okay? Obviously, the Americans, well, the American government does not want to do that. You have Forbes magazine, who said the IMF is advocating policies which are contrary to Americans, and then it went on to say, that's nothing new. So I think that they're not doing such a great job with their media coverage, okay? The World Bank, you don't get so much criticism. Okay? And that may be because of this sort of benevolent facade of reducing poverty and whatnot, where the IMF is clearly financial, no humanitarian goals, you know. The coverage that is coming out on the IMF, I think a lot of it is focusing on their unwillingness to get in line with what the G20 want. I think a lot of it is looking at, and this is dealing with Ukraine as well, and giving these packages with conditions, obviously, and I think that's really a problem for the IMF. These conditions, so that you can see the politics behind it. It's not, to me, it seems, not clearly just about let's open up trade and, so everybody can operate equally. It's really benefiting the rich countries to the detriment of the poor.
Okay, well, again, that's the IMF taken care of, and not such a thumbs up for the IMF there. And lastly, we've got the World Trade Organization. This is an organization which seeks to supervise and liberalize international trade. You touched on Ukraine in the previous question. How do you think it is managed with all of the recent tensions in Ukraine? And again, how has the WTO used or attempted to use the media in its favor?
Right. In answer to the first question, how are they managing? I'd say behind closed doors as usual. I think that is due to the nature of the institution itself. And it points really to systemic, infrastructural, the system itself and the way they make decisions and the way the dispute bodies work. They have no real power to enforce any sort of negotiated agreement. All they can do is impose sanctions, and that's contrary to their stated goal about opening trade. So there's very little, actually, in the media about the WTO and what they are doing.
Tammy, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your expertise with us. Really appreciate it, and hope to see you again in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all we've got time for right now, but if you want more exclusive interviews with market insiders, then stay here at Dukascopy TV. Goodbye for now.